Hey everyone, welcome to the video. So in today's video, it's very simple. You want to update your BIOS in preparation for Windows 11, for when it comes out for your computer. So let's deal with that, shall we? I've got to do this exactly for my fiance's computer. So let's get to it. So here I am in my fiance's computer's BIOS. Look, computer. Didn't I do a good job building? Forget the cable for the headset. Didn't I do a good job building it? That cable came back down. Damn. So the first things first is I've actually got to figure out what BIOS version she is on. System. Look at that. We found it. Ah! F42A. Okay, I actually thought that we were F32 for some reason, but hey, that's a win. So the next things next is we're going to have to go onto Gigabyte's website to find the board. The board from my partner's motherboard is Gigabyte Aorus B450 Pro Wi-Fi. I believe it's the first revision, but I don't think they did any other revisions. So, whatever I get. So, here we are at Gigabyte's website. Okay, so F42A doesn't exist anymore. Maybe F42F is like an updated variant of that BIOS. So, one thing to keep in mind for some BIOSes, and I'm going to come down to F32 and F40, is, so we've got F32 here, and its requirements are pretty simple. Oh, what it fixes is pretty simple, more so. But in F40, gonna come across. Firstly, it says what it fixes, what the BIOS does. But also it mentions that if you're using QFlash utility to update BIOS, which is what I'm gonna be doing, make sure you have updated BIOS to F32 before F40. It also states before update BIOS to F40, you have to install certain software, which is in the utility section of the support page for this motherboard, and run that first to avoid 4DIMM DDR incompatibility on 3rd Gen AMD Ryzen CPU. But I don't have to worry about that now because, well, yeah, I'm winning. So I'm going to believe that I am a slightly different variant of F42F, but none of the other, I guess, BIOS updates are asking me to update to a particular BIOS version first. So we're going to go straight to F62C. I'm going to hit that download button. You are going to need a USB, regardless of which method you use to update the BIOS. You will need a USB. Next things next, I'm going to unzip it. Here we go. Yeah, bye-bye. Extract to. Cool, then we come to my downloads folder, and it will be this file here. That there is the file, see, 62C file. That is my BIOS file right there. You can rename that if you want. And I'm going to just paste that into a USB stick, specifically the USB stick I use for loading Windows 10 on. Let's go back to my partner's computer. Now before we continue, some motherboards do have the ability to flash the BIOS without CPU, RAM, just the motherboard and power supply. That is BIOS flashback. Feel free to do that, but I thought for this video I will use a BIOS function that every BIOS has, which is QFlash, because some of the CPUs supported motherboards didn't always have, I guess, BIOS flashback. It's a little bit of a, I wouldn't say new, but it's become more mainstream over very recent years. So here we are back in the BIOS, and we're going to update it now. To be fair, it might help if I know what I'm looking for. Oh, you know what I'm looking for, there we go. MIT QFlash, we're looking for QFlash. Very, very important. We want to update the BIOS. That one. So I've pushed enter twice to get it. Basically, I found the USB, I found the BIOS file, I pushed enter once, I pushed enter twice, it has loaded the file, and now it's waiting for me to push start. So I push enter for start, it's updating the BIOS now. At this stage, we are basically praying that the power does not go out. So power goes out, well, this motherboard is bricked. Now, while this is happening, I do reckon that it's important to state that when I did this on my motherboard, which is Aorus Z370 Pro Wi-Fi, that it gave me the option, because my motherboard has more than one BIOS chip on it, so it's multi-BIOS. It gave me the option to update all BIOSes at once. I don't recommend doing that. Reason being is that you should do it one at a time. That way, if the BIOS fails to update, you have a backup BIOS ready to go. Where I actually ran into a risk of, well, if I failed that BIOS update, my whole board was bricked because I was updating both chips at the same time. Okay, so the BIOS has actually finished and we are restarting. May do a double boot, I'm not 100% sure. The lighting changed. So the BIOS update is done, and one thing to remember is when you do any BIOS update, I don't know if it changes all overclock settings. Oh god, that restarted quickly. But I do know that XMP profiles for RAM are reset to being turned off. So yes, the update has worked, as we can see. F62C for BIOS version. Just going to go into, actually it is in MIT for this BIOS. Advanced frequency setting. Extreme memory profile, XMP, see, is now disabled. I do need to turn that on to be enabled so that, well, we get the most out of the RAM. That's basically it. Part of why I've done this is because one, Windows 11. Two, I actually couldn't find, there we go, trusted computing. I couldn't find these settings before. So that is how you go about updating the BIOS so that it's Windows 11 ready. I believe that the BIOS enables, hold up, let me have a quick read. Yep, so that new BIOS has actually enabled what is needed for Windows 11. So the TPM trusted, it is TPM, isn't it? Yeah, TPM, trusted platform module is enabled. So it's got, the chip has the software, TPM. So anyway, hit that subscribe button down below, hit that like button, and this is a video that while I have done it only on a gigabyte BIOS, but every manufacturer has some form of QFlash functionality. Asus, MSI, ASRock, NZXT, am I missing anyone? I don't know. EVGA, I'm at a loss for what I'm missing now, but they've all got something for QFlash, which is why I have done this update in QFlash. Anyway, I want you all to have a good day, have a good week. See you all next time in the next video. Bye.